Oh, it's a good question. I honestly, it took a lot of those nights of me Googling, watching YouTubers, watching your channel, watching other success stories. And it took like probably 20 or so success stories for me to finally say, okay, I think I'm ready to do it. I think this is the right ingredients. But it really is like in the beginning, it's like you have to harvest all the information out there to make sure you're not missing any corners. Like one thing you didn't want to miss was backlinking. Like, did you want to not do any? Did you want to do too much? Like, it's a fine balance, I thought, to get in between there. So understanding that and seeing what other successes have done, that was big for me. And that was probably my biggest motivation besides traffic early on that made me say, let's invest and let's go in on it.
And one thing you didn't say, but I'm curious to get your opinion that I want to sort of like imply. I think your previous experience where you have earned a lot of money, you know it's possible to earn online. You've made thousands per month before. So do you think that gave you confidence, even though it's been sort of baked into your personality and what you know is possible for a few years?
I guess now that I think about it, yeah, that's probably one of the more powerful things that I had going for me. I mean, I knew money could be made online. I never questioned that. It was more the question of can I make money or a full-time income doing this? So I was not concerned about the internet itself and the people I could reach. It was more like how can I monetize it where I can get that desirable income for what I put in.
Okay. And I'm thinking back from the time frame that you mentioned, and COVID-19 and quarantining and stuff hit around the March time frame, and this is what you've done. You've really taken advantage, because I know you would hear people say, "Oh, you really got to take some action. You're all stuck at home." And if you're willing to mention, like, can you mention where you were living? And I guess you were buckling down, doing a ton of work, right? So can you just tell us a little bit about that, being quarantined and then doing all this work, and just what it was like living during that period?
Yeah, I mean, Doug, you hit the nail on the head. I actually started Googling how to make websites my first full week off of work. And then for those who don't know, I just mentioned it, Doug, I actually live and work in Manhattan. So kind of getting out of Manhattan, I went back home to my parents. And being out of the city, I was like, my day is always so full. I never have time to do anything. Wake up 5 a.m. to go to the gym and full day of work. I'm just happy if I'm able to eat at night on time. So kind of having this extra time, I was like, it'd be nice to go back into the website stuff and see what type of money I can make there. And I mean, that was all the time I needed to make a website. So, I mean, COVID was obviously devastating and terrible in many ways and changed my life in a lot. But, I tried to take some positive out of it by saying, let's build a business and see how it goes. So that's kind of been a nice thing in a way.
And have you been, I guess, working from home, like in a general sense, but now you don't have the busyness of the city and the other sort of obligations? Is that an accurate assumption?
So one thing I've noticed is I actually almost work more working from home. It's almost like you're always on call. But my travel was actually, I had a pretty intense travel and commute to work. It was about an hour, 15 minutes there and back. So kind of saving that time actually makes the day a little better for me, and not having to run around and get changed and all those type of things definitely puts so much time back in my pocket. So it's been nice to have that.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I think from all the people that I've talked to, it sounds like you've done more during this period of time where people are stuck at home. Because I mean, I see some people are doing some more things online, but you've really taken advantage. I won't disparage anyone who's like not doing more, but I mean, this is amazing, like all the work that you've done. So let's get back into the content area. So you have some writers. You've hired some cheaper ones. It seems like spending more is the wise move. It just saves you time and hassle. And when you get the content, are you the person drafting it in WordPress, or how does that work? Do you have an editor of any kind?
So I have no editor. I get all the content emailed to me or uploaded to the site that I buy it from, and I upload everything. I'm pretty good about like as soon as the article comes in, like 6 hours later, it's going to be published on my site. I don't like having a bunch of them sit because when I am outsourcing this much content, it's almost like if you let those 10 sit, then the next 20 that come in, you're just going to be all backed up. So I try and get them up right away. But I guess the real challenge is like when you take an article, you're putting the title in that you came up with and the rest of it's there. So I'm making sure there's still good subheadings that can potentially address other search terms, making sure the paragraphs aren't too large. I'll try and throw an internal link or so here and there back to another page on my site. And then obviously uploading images, whether it's a stock image, a free image through Google, or I actually take a lot of photos of my own. So getting all that up. It's a little quicker now than when I first started uploading articles. I think I could probably do a batch of 10 in about an hour, maybe a little bit less, which is great. But it's usually like I have the picture, like I think of the article, I do the keyword research, I outsource it, and then I go find the picture and like save it to my computer. So like the hardest part, in my opinion, is done already.
Right. Okay. And just to remind us, you said in a particular month you published 150 articles, so you were doing quite a bit, each day, getting that out there. Was it stressful in any way, or I mean, was it just motivating? You're like, oh, I got a stack of 10 I got to do today, so let's do it.
It was definitely motivating, and it's almost like you feel like you have this task that has to get done when you get 20 articles sent to you. So when you get them all uploaded, you feel like, oh, this is great. Meanwhile, like I'm probably not going to see those articles ranking for months from now, but just getting them up did have like a small feeling of accomplishment. And I would try and order the articles where they would come on a day I was like a little less busy. So I knew I had the time to say, okay, I'm probably gonna have like 30 articles coming in the next 2 days. Like I do have a few hours, and usually I try to do it like later at night.
Okay. So you're just, yeah, you're grinding it out. So very cool. Now, have you thought about bringing on an editor in the future, or someone to do that task of uploading and drafting, placing the images and all that stuff?
I've thought about it, and I think it's something I'd probably take action on when I build out my second site. I think for this site, I kind of have an idea of what I want to keep putting up there. And I think bringing an editor in this late in the game may not just be like even fair to the editor, because kind of like I did it my way for 400 something articles, having them come in to clean up may not be like the easiest move for me. But I did kind of get another website going with 20 something articles. And I figure I could maybe bring on an editor when that site's ready to scale up.
Got it. Okay, cool. And anything else content wise before we move on to link building?
One interesting thing I did for my content, and I haven't really seen the effects of it yet, but just something to kind of note. For informational type of articles that were more than 2,500 words, they were like a complete guide for that topic. I did try to find a YouTube video that I thought was credible and that I personally enjoyed and found helpful online, and embedded it into the articles. I've noticed that those articles rank a little bit quicker. I don't know if it's a coincidence or anything, but it's almost like Google picks up there's a video and there's extra form of content and it may be more helpful. So that's something I'm continuing to do. Not on every article, like for my 1,000 word, 1,500 word articles, I'm not, but for those bigger pieces of content, I'm just trying to be like the ultimate guide for that space.
Okay. I usually put a YouTube video in, and I haven't like checked to see which works better, but just as a rule, I guess like the common knowledge when I was coming up was, do that. YouTube has good metadata. Google understands that metadata. So like Google can understand that that topic is on that page. But I've never actually tested it. I just keep repeating it over and over again. So I'm glad at least you looked at it and you were like, oh, I think maybe. So that's enough for me. I'll keep saying it, I guess.